last few slides, I will break for coffee because I need a cup. So it covers the entire safety life cycle. It's not just the analysis phase, not just the hazard, not just the design. It's the entire life cycle. From start, from the gleam in the eye, the hazard, right through to when you shut down and close the refinery. That 40 years or whatever it is. It does not stop at commissioning. It goes through operation and continues in place for the entire life. You allocate life cycle responsibilities. You make people responsible for certain phases. Not, I hope someone will do it. You say, this person's going to do it, or this team is going to do it. You need to have the plan, needs to be very clear about who's doing it. As part of those responsibilities, you need to be very clear about what they're going to do. They're going to do the design, and that person's going to check. Or that person's going to do the hazard, and he's going to scribe. You've got to be very clear about this. You must specify what they're going to do. And then you need to ensure people are competent. That this competency issue is now a big part of the standard, the new 2016 version. You need to track people's competencies. You need to make sure that they remain competent. And it's not up to them to make sure. It is now the responsibility of the operating company to make sure they stay competent. That they are regularly assessed as part of the company management structure. We're trying to manage the risk of people problems to try and get an acceptable level of risk. What does this mean for you as the managers? All right, before we get into this, shall we break for this coffee? Let's have a 10-minute break. And then we'll get into this. We could start again at, say, 11:05. Okay, please. Thanks. Manager, in terms of the standard. Okay. In terms of the standard, if you're following the standard and you're going to apply it in your company, or if it's part of the national legislation and it's now a legal requirement, you have to be able to demonstrate competence with the standard. Okay? In terms of having knowledge of the legal and regulatory functional safety requirements, adequate management and leadership skills appropriate to their role in the safety life cycle, and understanding the potential consequence of event. That's for managers. Okay, that is required by the standard. You have to demonstrate it. Not, do you know it, nod your head, move on. You have to have it written down. Some way you have to demonstrate it. They need to read incident reports. They need to ensure leading and lagging indicators are being used to monitor your SIS performance. You can't just install it and leave it. You have to be making sure that it's performing as you designed. That the failure rates of those devices are not higher than what the manufacturer claimed. You need to be able to say, right, they're higher, so we've got a problem. You need to understand why there's a problem. It might be an installation, it might be environment, it might be the product itself. But you need to be tracking this. You can only make those decisions and understand this if you're actually gathering data. Okay. You also need to be tracking how many incidents are happening. And does it meet your tolerable risk? So you need to have some sort of incident logging database. You need to be tracking it. It's no longer optional now, it's required by the standard. Okay. You need to understand the ramifications of cost cutting. Okay? Especially when it comes to process safety or mechanical integrity. This came out of Texas City. The maintenance team were completely hamstrung. They could not do anything because their costs had been cut. They could not react to problems. That led to an incident. So now this is required. You need to demonstrate to the regulator in a certain part of the world why you are doing certain cost cutting, and you also, you change managers. So this manager now gets promoted as a new manager. You need to show the regulator that you're not going to compromise functional safety. So this is now required. Obviously not, I don't think in the Middle East all yet, but in other parts of the world this is required. Okay, and they need to be trained in understanding of functional as well as process safety. Okay. Ignorance is no longer an excuse. You can't say I've handed it off. The judge will start at the top. Do you know what process safety is? Do you know what functional safety is? If you say no, right, we'll start with you, right? Let's start talking about this incident. And they're trying to assign blame. Okay, so it's no longer an excuse.